So, one of the things you hear teachers say, or which is brought forth a lot, is that we got the gift of the free will. And I think there is a lot of misunderstanding around this. And so partly because our free will is quite limited. You know, often when we think we got a free will, we've got choice. There's a lot of choices we can make in our lives. You know, what are we going to eat tonight? And where I'm going to go to, what I'm going to talk about today. These are all free choices in a way. And that's the level we can make free choices upon. And especially on what am I going to engage with this, or am I not going to engage with this? But there is not so much free choice in what we will meet in our lives. In our lives. There is a free choice in how we are going to engage to that. So we have been talking a little bit about family karma, lessons of life, about constrictions, about things which are happening in your life which bring forward trauma. And a lot of those things is we didn't really choose for, and we didn't really ask for. It's happening. It's a little bit like the weather. You know, we cannot free will the weather. So what is the area of the free will is how we are engaging to this. And the more we think that it's under our control, the more we get entangled. The more we blame ourselves, the more we blame life, the more we blame others. So, if the area of freedom is how we engage to it, how we, how do you say it, how we are dealing with it, how we relate to it, to whatever happens in our lives, then it's interesting to look into this. And again, you know, like in the first day that I brought forward, you know, we have the tendency to identify with the happenings as if it's done to us, it's personal. It makes a big difference if you say, this is my mother, or this is the mother who brought me up. So, the stronger we are identifying with the happenings in our lives, the more helpless we feel, and the more we have a feeling that there is no free will. And do you recognize that?
The stronger we identify.
When we identify with the happenings in our lives, the more we feel helpless, because we have a feeling that we have no free will. It just happens. We get very, very frustrated if we try to control too much our lives. It's like trying to control the waves in the sea or the ocean. But what we can do, I'm talking in circles, but what we can do is really control our attitude towards it. How are we relating to life? How are we relating to these happenings? But for this we need to step back a little bit. So, to be able to control your attitude, you have to be aware or conscious of your attitude. If we are in a fight with a happening, there is no way that we are able to look at ourselves, because we're moved by truth, how we want to have it, how it should be. So we're blinded by this kind of feeling of truth. And this feeling of truth can be that it's not fair what's happening. It's really not fair. It's always me. Or it can be a deeper truth that it's not there for me. So again and again, what you really wish and what you really want and what you try to organize is not happening. It's not there for me. It's really not there for me. Or it could be that there is a stash of facts showing you that nobody loves you. Nobody loves me. So there is a lot of these little sentences which are in the basis, which feel like truth. They kind of form our truth, and they're so much connected with the entanglement we have in daily life, in how we try to control, and how we think if we do it different, if we control it, the facts of life will change. And in this we're moving according to contracts. The kind of contracts, patterns. Also contracts in between people. Behavior contracts we're identified with. And in this, often we feel no freedom. If I reject you, you have to feel rejected. It's horrible if you reject a person and it doesn't feel rejected. This is asocial. It's a sociopath. So we are all very obedient. That means if somebody is rejecting us, we feel rejected. We kind of, we collapse, we fall apart. Because this is how it should be. And if we don't fall apart, we have a friend or somebody else who's telling us, how horrible it is what happened. You should fall apart. Or you should be very angry, or you should do something about it. And that's just one example of basically how we are programmed, how we should do things. But all this programming is so much connected with entanglement. And when we run through this programming, there's not a lot of self-awareness, self-consciousness. Because we're so deeply engaged with trying to make it better. Trying to overcome what we already believe in the depths will be happening. If it is basic little sentences there, it's not there for me. We can really work hard, to take care that it will be there for me. But in the end, we move from it's not there for me. So in the end, it will be it's not there for me. There is always proof that it's not there for you. The grass is always greener in the garden of the neighbor. There's always somebody who has one more child. Or a bigger car. Or seems to be more happy. Or has a bigger bank account. For most people. You recognize what I'm talking about? Even if a lot of the things you really want to have are there, there is always something which is not there. And of course it gets worse when you really want something like a partner, and a partner is not coming that quickly. So then basically everybody got a partner, but I don't have a partner. It's really not there for me. It's so unfair. It's so unfair. It's impossible to live with this. And of course everybody who has a partner is happy. And if you don't have a partner, you're not happy. It's not possible. You need a partner for happiness. So it's really not there for you. You see how from this little truth which is inside ourselves, we create a whole structure of beliefs, a whole illusion. Because if we look at it, if we have a partner, we think, be happy you don't have a partner. Maybe. That's not true either. But it is a whole structure, a whole building basically of illusion. And it comes all to the same. It's life as it is right now is unacceptable. We cannot accept it. So another little sentence which is living in a lot of us is, I'm not good enough. And also this sentence is getting proven over and over again. Or, I'm not okay. Or, something is wrong with me. So all these sentences seem to pop up again and again and again in our lives. And especially when we're disappointed, or things are not working out as they should, or life is more difficult at the moment, and they're making it even more difficult when it's difficult. I don't deserve happiness. That's another one. Basically, the brother of it's not there for me. So when things get tough in life, often the sentences are kind of popping up. And then we go into a kind of despair, and we don't want to live anymore. It's all too much. Never will be okay. And for 2-3 days we kind of lay in our bed depressed. And that's such a rotten feeling, that's so horrible, that, at a certain moment we get so bored by it as well, that at a certain moment, we start a new plan, we start a new project. And the basis of this project is to make it good. To try to heal it. Maybe now it will be successful. Maybe now it will be good. Maybe now I will be seen. Maybe now it will be okay. Maybe now I will be happy. You recognize what I'm talking about? And basically when we look to these projects, we all kind of start them to fix something. To heal something. To see proven that something is not what we think it is in the depth, but also the sentences and everything which comes with it, to feel that is quite unbearable. It's unbearable when it's not there for you. It's unbearable when nobody loves you. It's unbearable when you always will be an outsider. When you don't belong. I don't belong here. And people go quite far with it, There's all this kind of stories that people are from, the Plains or from Sirius B. I'm from Sirius B and I'm incarnated here and I don't really belong here.
I don't think we have those in Juneau. We don't have any of them in Juneau.
But the rest of the states, everything what hangs underneath, there's whole tribes of them. So basically the message in this is I don't belong here. This is the message. This deep feeling of not belonging. So then either you can kind of make this not belonging superior, or you can make it inferior. So these are when you look at this is really what's going on in our psychology. So the core of it is, it's too painful to feel that you don't belong, so you give a reason to it, and giving a good reason for it, so I always felt that it's a truth. But still, it's always based on this polarity, not belonging. And if in essence there is a feeling that you don't really belong here, you will never belong here. You understand? It is a truth. You will not allow yourself to experience belonging. You will not allow yourself experiencing to the depth to be loved. You will not allow yourself experiencing to the depth that it's there for you. Because if you think it's not there for you and you feel really happy and fulfilled, it will pass. It will not be forever, it will pass. And that's true, it will pass. But then, the happiness or the fulfillment is losing its momentum because we are focused on that it will pass and not in the moment that's there. You understand? So some people live in a way that they live, from happy moment to happy moment. And in between there's problems now and then, and sometimes not. And some people live from problem to problem, and in between there's some happy moments, but they all pass. And again, this is connected with attitude. And both is in a polarity. So one person you call an optimist, and the second person you call a pessimist, but it's a polarity. It's not really what we are. It's true that if you have more an optimistic view of life, that life is more pleasant. So it's helpful to be more optimistic, to be more happy. Optimistic people seems to be more happy. They score higher on the happy scale on psychological tests. But if you really are baked pessimistic, it's not easy to become optimistic, to see the light shining through the black clouds. It's a sucker hole. You're a sucker if you believe in it. So, this entanglement which is taking place in the facts of life and how we relate to it, what we believe, how we move to it, is all to do with free will. This is the realm of the free will. Not to change the facts, but how to relate to it. And not in the way, that you can say, okay, you should be happy with nothing. I have nothing to eat, be happy that you got air to breathe. There's always something to be happy about. This is attitude, and of course we can force this upon ourselves, but this is not really how we feel. So the free will is how we are relating to how we feel. And what I mean by how we are relating to we feel is, are we taking this as absolute? Or are we taking this as a feeling, as a sensation?
As what?
As a feeling or as a sensation? Are we taking what's happening in our lives as, a personal punishment? Or are we taking what's happening in our life as challenges we have to deal with? Or maybe not to deal with. So the whole process of inner growth, basically by moving into meditation, by moving into silence, by moving into stillness, we're creating a little bit more distance from the identification with the facts of life. We create a situation where we a little bit less entangled, where we start to identify more with, maybe this experience of stillness as with the rage which is coming towards you. You recognize what I'm talking about? Or your own feelings and emotions as being you, defining you. You're more identifying with the peace you feel inside yourself as with the struggles. But then this peace and the stillness and the silence and the emptiness, they're all also experiences as much as the anger, as the fear. As the experience that it's really not there for you. It's just not there for you. All of these are experiences. So, if you believe that the experience of stillness is defining you, as the experience of it's not there for me is defining you, you're also in trouble. And especially when they're both there, because you kind of have a period that it's more easy to move into stillness, and then you grab it as a state, as this is defining me, this is what I am, and then at once you cannot meditate anymore. It doesn't work anymore. The trick doesn't work anymore so good. So this is the stillness. It doesn't have the same experience. It not just doesn't have the same depth. It's like as if you're eating chocolate every day, and the chocolate becomes tasteless. It's gone before you know it is there. You're not even aware that you're eating chocolate. And that's frustrating, and that you see with a lot of people who are working for a longer period on themselves. In the beginning, there is this bliss of stillness. And it's really blissful, and then after a while, it loses its bliss. It becomes more a state. And some teachers are there, they're kind of in a state of stillness. It's helpful, but it's not really alive anymore. It becomes almost a state you hold on to against life, a wall against life, not to feel, not to engage. I'm in stillness. I'm not bothered by it. So, to look again, where is the free will? So the free will gives us the opportunity to grasp or to averse. To say, this is mine. Shali, this is what I want to have. This is what I want to hold on to. This is how it should be all the time. To create states. But the state, again, is not being alive. It's keeping something static. It has to be like this. And this grasping is very deeply inside ourselves. It's very deeply connected with identification of form. Also, stillness is a form. And it all comes forward by us looking for some truth, some reality, some stability in this crazy life where everything is changing all the time. So it's better to feel stable and happy as that everything is unpredictable. It's true, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You have something to hold on to. And of course you can always blame your mother for this. So it seems that we are looking for stable factors in our life. We're looking for this by identifying with forms, identifying with happenings, identifying with, how it should be, with beliefs. And they're quite stable. The beliefs, it's not there for me, it's quite a stable belief. And it's almost revolutionary to let go of this belief because it feels so true. And this true is sometimes running already for ages through families. It was not there for your grandmother, it's not there for your mother, it's not there for you. It will not be there for your daughters. As a female, you have to be happy with whatever you get. Terrible. So this are beliefs, and again it runs to the family, it's deep inside us, it's brought forward, and they seem to bring some structure, some stability in the craziness of form, some truth. And this craziness of life, this randomness of life, this chaos of happenings, which is happening around us all the time. we try to structure. We try to structure by identifying with it in a way that we structured it in society. We structured in what we expect from each other. If you have a job and you studied something, you have to stay in your job. You cannot change your job every year. Some people nowadays do, but that's a little bit disturbing, isn't it? You cannot count on those people. It has to be stable, once a doctor, always a doctor. Once a mailman, always a mailman. It cannot be that one year you're a mailman and the next year you're a doctor and the third year you're a fisherman and then you go some gold digging. This cannot be. Must be kind of, a setup, a course through life. You need to do something, to establish something, and when you're established, when you're kind of, around your 20s, the start or the end of your 20s, you should be established. And then the rest of you start kind of, to gather the rest of your life. You start kind of, your savings, gather enough money to buy a house, have a house, stay in the house, till you're paid off the mortgage. And by that time, you gathered some children and a wife or a husband. And by that time, there's the pension. Then when there is the pension, you're free of the mortgage if you're lucky. Not always, but if you're lucky, you're free of the mortgage. And then, you can live life. But then there's the health issues. And you have to be loyal to the doctor. You cannot go somewhere else because this is your doctor. You need to go. And we are used to the pharmacists. So to go to another pharmacist is a little bit shocking. It's not stable. And all our friends are living here, so it's difficult to move. It's not stable. So you understand? We create the stability, and in this stability, it becomes more and more difficult to move. And sometimes the stability we create in life, we hold on to as the form, as what we are, as what is the reality in life, to protect us against the chaos, which life is as well. We don't even like it. We don't even like our lives. It is an obligation. It's full of have-tos. It's full of, how it should be. And never, never, never good enough. Because there's this little sentence on the background that's not there for me. It's really not there for me. And you have to be happy with everything you get. I'm not okay. These little sentences, we in the core belief are adding to the stability. We're holding on to the stability as a kind of protection as well. You recognize what I'm talking about? Better a husband as no husband. Because if you have no husband, it will not be there for you. And if you have a husband, it's also not there for you, but at least the neighbors don't see it. It's a little bit cynical what I'm saying, but it's recognizable in patterns. It's also partly keeping up appearances. You should be grateful with what you have. So. And it's literally that we're living in a way that we get enslaved by the form. What's important is the more you possess, the more you are possessed. Possessions are possessing you. It's very difficult if you possess something to just let it go. So the more we are possessive, and this is part of trying to stabilize things in form, we get possessive. It's my garden. It's my kitchen. Don't touch the salt in my kitchen. It's on my place. It's in little things. You understand? So the more we get possessive to form, the more we are possessed. The less freedom there is. It becomes very, very stable, but we lose our freedom in it. And we identify with it. This is my life. Welcome in my reality. And all this time we're working to fix it. To make it good. To fix it. Maybe if we have a bigger bathroom, then it will be better. Let's take another child, then we will get happy. I've got already 3 children. 4th child will make the family complete, stable. It's in everything. This deep identification with form. And it's not particularly making us happy. It's expressing itself in a struggle against life, a struggle against nature. Nature is so threatening. So basically all dangers in nature have to be kind of, pushed out. So happily this is not too strong in Alaska. But in a lot of areas in the world, every snake, every bear, every animal which could be a threat should be killed. So the animal which is the biggest threat to us is the human being. So we kill them as well. Especially the human being who's thinking different from us, who has a different structure, has a different way. So if we believe we are dead, it's very, very depressive, because things get more and more stagnant, more and more fearful, because the more we try to control, the more we try to make it safe, the more we try to keep it the same, because we are looking for this stability. It has to be stable, something has to be stable. Otherwise we're getting crazy. So the more we try to find stability in form, the more fearful it becomes. Because we never are able to totally control it. This is in a little life, but also worldwide. It's exactly the same. Or the more we are trying to look for the stability outside ourselves, the more fearful it becomes. Because it's really like trying to control the waves. We can succeed for some time. We can have a beautiful garden, but we have to work in this garden constantly to keep it a garden. Nature will take over. So let's spray nature around the garden so that nature doesn't take over our garden. And what's nature? Nature is wild, untamed. It's not what you want. It's out of control. The enemy. And it's absolutely okay to create a beautiful garden. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's not stable. It needs work all the time, as nature doesn't need work. It has its own course. So it's also with us. If we try to weed ourselves in a way that we are okay, it needs work all the time. We all the time need to work on our appearances. to be good enough. We all the time need to adjust. We all the time need to work to keep things stable. And that's very tiring. It's quite exhausting. To do your best not to be rejected, to do your best that you're okay, to do your best, that everything is okay with everybody around you, to keep your family safe. It's exhausting. How do we keep our family safe? By worrying. By worrying about it. This is how we keep our family safe. If we worry enough, everything will be okay. And if we don't worry, we don't care. So you have to worry. As a good parent, you have to worry about your children, because otherwise you don't care. And that's how you keep them safe. So if every night you go through all the different things which could happen to your daughter, you really worry about it, that please will not happen, then she will be safe. It's a craziness, but there are people who really believe this, who have a ritual of worrying, and if they forget something, this could happen. If there's shock, they forgot something. Oh, I have to think about this, I have to worry about this as well, because it could happen if I don't think about it, because if I don't think about it, it's not in my control. It's in my control if I imagine that this could happen as well. This is a little bit cuckoo. Just a tiny little bit. But recognizable. And it's all, when you look in the end, trying to find stability in form. Trying to find stability in life. Trying to find stability in the happening. In the chaos. So the stability seems to be more in stillness. It seems to be more in silence, because at least, when it's silent, it's quite stable. And it seems to be more in the non-dual positions. But for this we need to move inside. But again, this is more stable as the weather. Peace is peace is peace is peace. And it's always there. But it's not the most stable factor. So, if we make the next movement and we are more in peace with ourselves, then there is enough space to start to wonder, or we are in stillness to start in wonder, what and who is experiencing this stillness? What's that? How come that we're able to experience stillness? How come that we're able to experience peace? How come that we're able to experience pain? When pain is very stable, it's really intimate. When you're in a lot of pain and it's stable, it's you and the pain. It's so intimate. And the pain is maybe unbearable, but at the same time there is such a beauty because of the intimacy of you and the pain, just waiting, timeless, into a tunnel of pain. But the you becomes so clear, because the you is not a person, it's not a form, it's not anything. It's just the one who is able to perceive the pain. Everything else burns away. This is the blessing of pain. This makes pain interesting. Not that I wish pain to anybody, but if you're in such a pain for a longer period, this is bringing forward a kind of purification. Because it brings you back to the one who's able to perceive the pain, is able to perceive the love. And that one cannot be perceived. And And that one is stable. This is not changing. This is life passing by, but that one who's perceiving is the same, at least during this life, or for a period. But it's much more stable as anything else. So what would happen if we would kind of more identify with that one? The one who experiences, the one who feels, the one who's perceiving. What would happen? So that we don't say life is defining me, but I'm perceiving life. That we don't say what's happening in my life is absolutely personal, but that we say I've got a personal reaction to what's happening in my life. It sounds a little bit more sane. And I'm neither the life, neither the personal reaction. This is how it kind of moves. So, where are we when we start more to identify with this part of ourselves instead of with the happenings, with the forms? So this the strange thing is we do that, we have this deep feeling of coming home. We've got this deep feeling of really falling back into the arms of the beloved. Becoming the beloved. So, from the gift of our free will, we have the opportunity to kind of, to engage to life in different ways. We cannot control life in the end. And through this engagement we learn. We learn about details, we learn about grasping and aversion. And we learn to a point that at a certain point we kind of, come back to our own source. To the thing which is really stable in all the instability. And that is the one who is aware. It's the one who is witnessing. It's the one who is perceiving. This is quite stable. And there is an incredible feeling of freedom around this. Because it's like, we allow ourselves, when we are entangled in form, to perceive only this little bit. And the moment you move back into the source of perception, almost everything you can perceive, almost every experience is possible. Experience is taking place in multiple dimensions at the same time. Life is getting multidimensional through all the different senses. When we are very much engaged in form, we either only see, or we feel, or we hear, or we taste, but to have all the senses open at the same time, in which it just kind of passes by, where colors are much brighter, where sounds are much deeper, sharper, clearer, where everything's got a smell, and everything got a taste. It's all coming together. This is more being alive. And that's not what you are either. It's life moving through, experiencing it to the depth. And this is only possible when we let it move, when we don't grasp it or don't reverse it. If we grasp something, it becomes grey after a while. If we grasp any experience, it becomes grey.
Did you say grey?
Grey. It's like it loses its freshness, its clarity, its aliveness, you know. And life is fresh, moment after moment after moment. It's really fresh. So this movement back into what you could say pure awareness, pure consciousness, which is another state of the same, is in the end not what we are, but it's the most stable factor. And the movement back into pure awareness is the movement back into the beloved. Everything which is touched by awareness is loved.